Rotogrinders, and today we're going to talk about the RG Discord. If you're not a member, you should be. It is a fantastic community and resource that Rotogrinders provides, and it's easy to join as well. All you have to do is click the Discord icon on Rotogrinders or go to rotogrinders.com/Discord. From there, you'll either sign up if you're new to RG, or if you're already a member, just click the link at the top to go to the sign-in page. Once you've logged into your RG account, you can be taken to Discord to log in there. Once you've connected those accounts, you won't have to leave the server. You can freely close out and reopen Discord without ever having to reconnect. The idea of Discord might be a little bit daunting to you, but it's actually pretty simple to navigate. Whether you're on mobile or desktop, the far left side will show you the Discord servers that you've already joined. Then next to that, you'll see the channels within that Discord. We have both free channels like Chiefs Prop Shop and our daily sport channels, and we also have premium channels like Blender's Game Theory or the Crunch Time channels. Premium members can see the difference between the free and premium channels by looking for a padlock icon next to the premium channel names. We also have a few pointers for new and experienced users alike. If you're having trouble finding a channel, make sure that you haven't collapsed the section that the channel is in. Collapsing a channel will only allow it to appear when there are unread messages in that channel. Also, we find that using the actual Discord program works better than opening it in a browser like Safari or Chrome. Lastly, if you're having trouble with one of our tools, your Rotogrinders account, or any other technical needs, you can hop in our feedback and help section of channels to get help from one of our wonderful support and moderation team members. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter @Rotogrinders or email support@rotogrinders.com. See you in Discord.
What's up, Rotogrinders? Dean here. Dean78904. That is the daily fantasy handle around the industry in the association type. We have 12 basketball games. Therefore, we have no time for pleasantries, no time for niceties. 12 games, not messing around. 3-man booth. Got the A squad for sure. Batting first, leading off Kid Yahoo, Kirk D's. Digging in that slate all day long for sure. I just sent out a tweet talking about depends on where you're shopping, obviously, but it's such a weird slate. Stuff of course can open up. It's the NBA tail end of the season, but value, especially for a 12 gamer, is so gross. If you go on lineup HQ, as far as our point per dollar plays, the two best guys as of right now, DK specific, is like Precious Achua and Rudy Gay. It doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me. It changes obviously depending on where you're shopping and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, your thoughts before we kind of break it down game by game. What do you have as far as an overview? And I don't really know how to separate the studs either, which is a whole other conversation.
Before I do the overview, I just want to give one shout out. Yappy Cappy is not in chat today with us. He's actually in the car driving he's got the kid today with his daughter, okay, Ella. So I want to give a shout out to Ella. And because she's going to be listening in the car, so he makes his daughter listen to our show while he's driving. But thank you for putting up with us, Ella. Anyway, breaking down the slate. Yeah, I did. I was talking about that. I had a little conversation in Discord earlier today about the value. Some people like the value because there's a lot of value plays, quote unquote value plays. But to me, it looks like all thin value. And I've come around to some of it a little bit more. Maybe it's not as thin as I'm projecting it to be, but it's a bunch of guys we don't like playing. It's pretty safe to say, except I think Precious is fine. But Rudy Gay, we all know the minutes can be all over the place. Plus, we don't know how many minutes he was going to get in his last game because he was also in foul trouble.
Yeah.
If he draws the start, he's probably good chalk. But they could start Eric Pascal, and leave Gay to kind of do the come off the bench. So I don't really know how it's going to play out. But yeah, like you said, there's just like a lot of thin names, but the studs are like the smash plays today, right? Like Meansy wrote that in his article, like the top, I think he said the top 5 RG values were actually like studs or something like that. So, and that's true. I mean, it's like we've got a bunch of studs in great spots. We don't have quote unquote our norm. We don't have a Tyus Jones value today. We do have, some other stuff to get comfortable. We do have kind of like decently value mid-range with guys like, some of the like Patrick Beverly, like Marcus Morris, things like that, but they're quite volatile as well. So I'm kind of hoping some more value opens up.
Yeah, I have the RG value, lineup as well too, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the problem is, Kirkies, I'm sure you've heard this before. Somebody must have said it. We live in the world of a salary cap, and you can't just say, "Well, give me Giannis and LeBron and Luka and Jokic, and we're good to go." You can only get so many of these guys in there. Yeah, just lineup HQ. You can sort it by RG value, which is not the same as point per dollar. Number 1, Giannis. Number 2, LeBron. Number 3, Luka. Number 4, Embiid. If he plays, he's questionable. Jokic, and then if he doesn't, we're DeAndre Jordan, like Paul Millsap. Like, what are we doing there? Oh, what a mess. TJ, returning champion again. I think it's just 3 days in a row for you. Welcome back.
3 in a row, feeling good.
Yeah, man. You're going for the 3-peat tonight. Where are you as far as your general thoughts as far as this slate? And what kind of I ran off anybody that's good at daily fantasy basketball as far as players they're basically playing tonight. Right? No Pistons and no Magic. They're playing tomorrow in the one gamer, but 12 games in the association. It's a lot. Are you running a bunch of lineups out on FanDuel? Is that the plan?
That's the plan. Yeah, I'm going to do one main one in the Rotogrinders single entry series, that 222, and then I'm going to do 150 as well.
There you go. Yeah, the 222. Get that before it sells out, and if you want to play the $1 one, both those are available. The single entry series. Get in there. The added value, obviously. In the single entry. I just love it. Single entry contests in general. Talk to me about your general overview as far as the slate. And of course, yeah, there is some news almost definitely that will drop that will, shuffle things up, but we can only talk about where we stand right now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So obviously we're hoping some more value opens up with a bit of this news, but as it stands, if not a lot does, while we don't have a lot of value, I think there are great opportunities to get some leverage on the field. Rudy Gay, 30 to 40% owned over on FanDuel. Like that's, I'm not going there. Like that's something that even though I like him as a player, he's won me a lot of money before. He was in my first ever big NBA bank, but I'm not going to be going there tonight if he's going to be pushing 40% owned.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's a little, just kind of the way lineup construction works, a little bit easier to play. I don't know if easier is the right word, but makes a little bit more sense on DK than on FanDuel. We'll kind of get through that stuff as we have the conversation, but just as a general thought, like Rudy Gay at 30-40% on a 12-game slate does sound like something you want to get below. Yeah, and the reason why, just worth noting, if people aren't aware, Bogdanovich is out. Dan House is out as well. Forrest, feels like those guys don't really matter, but they do to some, together. Forrest and House and Azubuike matters to some degree. And we're expecting Conley to be available tonight. But Utah suddenly pretty thin these days. All right, let's do it. Let's talk about the 12 gamer. First one on the slate is Atlanta and Charlotte. Big boy number 240 is the total. It's high and it's tight. Atlanta just a 1-point favorite here as far as the body parts, as far as who we're expecting to play. Gallinari is available for Atlanta. John Collins still out. The only guy out for Atlanta tonight is John Collins. Charlotte, as healthy as they've been in a long time. Hayward's out, but he's been out for a long time. Book Knight available for what it's worth. Not sure if he's getting a run, but he's just sort of there. He's a body. Kirk Dees, in theory, we should like this game, right? 240 total, big number. It should, in theory, stay close. Do we like it as good as the Vegas suggests?
I do like it because first of all, it's the first game. It projects to be a competitive battle. I mean, and you just look at these teams. These are, somewhat similar teams as far as talent and whatnot are concerned. And, we know the Hornets play extremely fast, and we know the Hawks, they flirt with playing fast sometimes, but Trae is certainly willing to run with the best of them. So I think this game is going to, play out pretty fast, and we've got a 240-point total. So we should be liking it. And it's the first game, and maybe we don't have the value hasn't hit. We're not, we do have a bunch of big news still to come. With I mean, so I think like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is obviously huge news. Embiid is huge news. LeBron James is huge news. And, you know, so that this game may get overlooked, but I think this is certainly a stackable game for sure. And obviously we're supposed to look at some value. I mean, Gallinari on DraftKings is projecting for the highest owned player in this game, which is a little scary to me. Clint Capella certainly probably gets a bit of a boost without John Collins. His rebound numbers go up. You know, the thing is we did see 28 minutes in the last game against Portland, which is nice. It's better than seeing like the 20 or 22 that he had in a couple of games prior. But, you know, we don't have that 30 plus minute ceiling of Capella anymore. So I doubt, I'm not sure how, you know, what his true ceiling is. I think he's fine, but so certainly he's in play. I mean, always we can play Trae. And then, you know, we've got some decent players on the other side in Charlotte. I mean, LaMelo is all over the place. There's risk there for sure, but you can play him. There's Terry Rozier. You can play Miles Bridges. You can play. I'll never play PJ Washington again. I'm just putting that out there.
That's it. Never again.
The dude sucks, in my opinion. He's just so bad. They run some funky lineups. Borrego does, and I just don't get it. But you know, some of the other NBA analysts were talking about Cody Martin playing a lot in this game because they have their best offensive lineup when he plays, and it would make sense with like John Collins out in this game to, you know, maybe to go a little bit smaller. So, you know, maybe that helps. Maybe he's a really low owned tournament play you get into, but I don't know. I mean, I should have interest here, so I'm definitely trying to sell myself on it.
The LaMelo one is really frustrating because he's not played 32 minutes in a month for a variety of reasons. Like, just the minutes are just not there. And in theory, like they should be. We're projecting for 31. You know, price has kind of reflected that a little bit, but we just haven't really seen that incredible LaMelo game so much of late. Of course, you've seen the Trae Young game, but, you know, if you're going to only play one stud tonight, I guess you can get to two depending on, or, you know, when you're shopping, you probably can get to three or whatever you qualify as a stud. Like, he's been on fire, and there's no reason to think like he's going to slow down in this game. Oh, somebody else is on fire too. Is that Obi-Wan, TJ?
No, it wasn't me this time.
Oh, battle of the dogs.
Hand up. That's on me. That's on me.
Obi-Wan and Sonic will get theirs in later.
You got a Sonic also?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And it's a dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both dogs. But yeah, I'm a big fan of this game on FanDuel because Trae Young has just been absolutely on fire lately, and he's still sub 10%, sub 10K on FanDuel. We're looking at 10 to 15% owned for him, and he's just got a absolutely massive ceiling, as high as anybody else on the slate, based on the things that he's been doing lately. So, fast-paced matchup. I don't think there's going to be a ton of defense played in this game. I'm really looking forward to getting a lot of Trae Young. And what's exciting to me is the guys picking up the most ownership, Bogdanović, Capella. Those are the two that I kind of want to play the least. I'll take the odd shot on Gallinari, Herter, Hunter, maybe if they just end up as a last piece. Not going to be targeting them, but I'm really excited to get to Trae Young tonight. And then on the Charlotte side, these guys are just picking up no ownership at all. Like Bridges, Rozier, Ball. It's a 12-game slate. Sorry?
Should they be?
It's a 12-game slate, and they're very volatile. So I understand the lack of ownership. But having said that, all three of them still have huge ceilings. So those are all numbers I want to get over the field on.
Yeah, and it's not that hard to do so. Like LaMelo, we're looking at, and you're going to focus mostly on FanDuel. Myself and Kirkis will focus mostly on DK. Kirkis, of course, can speak to Yahoo as well if necessary. LaMelo looking at 5% ownership on FanDuel. You're talking about Rozier at less than 4%. So it's not hard to get over the field in those guys. If you're running 100, just put them in 10%, whatever. You're double the field. Bridges, we're seeing 8% or so on FanDuel. And the biggest number for anybody in this game, Bogdanović, 25% right now on FanDuel. Capella at 25. Man, I mean, there's a chance. It's probably not going to happen. There's a chance, Gallinari grabs some of those, 5 minutes. So, they were splitting with the Kongwu and Capella the 48 minutes. And now with Gallinari back, we've seen Atlanta go smaller there. So maybe a couple less minutes for Capella. It's possible. And we're only projected for 28 because, Kongwu has been pretty good. And we're giving him 19. We're actually only giving 47 combined minutes. So kind of giving a little wiggle room for that possibility. Yeah, Curtis, if you're going to give me your favorite play on each side of this game, who would it be?
I mean, Trae for sure. That would be on the Hawks. So I do have more interest in Bogdanovich. The thing with him is that his numbers have been down because his shooting has been poor. He's been through a real tough stretch shooting. But if he does come out of it, he'll be out on the court in this game for a bunch of minutes. It's they will ride the hot hand theory with him. So I think he's someone that could be like a really super. Well, he should be low on. Let's see. Yeah, I have extremely low owned.
Yeah.
On DraftKings tonight. So I could see him end up working out for you. And I think like a piece like DeAndre Hunter could be fine too for he's only 4,800. He could be fine in this type of matchup. I just want to stress the overall game environment in this, everything's great. The Hawks are 26th in defensive rating. They've been horrible for a while. The Hornets are 23rd in defensive rating, and both teams do not defend the 3-point line at all. So this, there could be a bunch of, 3-pointers in this game as well. You got this massive total. So yeah, we have to like it. So I guess the piece on the Charlotte side, I mean, I always am into LaMelo, but obviously that's just hasn't been a great ride the last couple of weeks. But if I'm higher on him than most, so I'll just be an optimist and hope he gets some extra minutes and puts together a big game. I don't know why they don't give him that minute upside, but they obviously choose not to. But anyway, so the other one, it would be Terry Rozier. So it'll be one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean,
the last thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Dean. The last thing I want to say on this one is when Ball is low owned, and the field is not projecting him to get those minutes, we know that if he just happens to get 34, 36, he's absolutely going to smash. So those are the days that I want to get over the field on him, because if he does, that's how you win a tournament. When the field's getting 30, 40% of him, those are the days that you want to get less, because if he gets 2 minutes less, well, then that's when you're golden. Bogdanovich on DK, where he's a nice low owned play, I don't mind that as contrarian. It's just 25% on FanDuel. I can't see myself getting that on a 12-game slate.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably have some, but not 25%, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And the LaMelo thing, it's a combination of blowouts and foul trouble too, I think. But he's not done what you want him to do in a month. And again, has not played 32 minutes in a month. In theory, he should be able to, but we'll see.
So let's zoom out. And so we got a 240 point total. LaMelo's going to be low owned. That sounds like a pretty damn good play, right?
Yeah. If it's the LaMelo of a month ago.
I mean, you take the chance. I mean, it might not work out, but I think it's a good play.
I'm not here to besmirch. If I land on LaMelo, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it. Philadelphia, Cleveland, 219.5 is a total. Big piece of news, obviously. This one waiting to drop. Philadelphia currently a 3-point favorite at Cleveland. We don't know about Joel Embiid. He's currently questionable with his back. He did legit take a big old fall against Jokic. So maybe there's some sort of remnants there. Maybe they were just looking to give him a day. Who knows? Interesting thing about this slate, nobody is in the front end of a back-to-back because nobody plays tomorrow outside of Detroit and Orlando. Only 2 teams in the back end. That will be Brooklyn and Phoenix. So basically every team is playing an island game tonight, which I think is at least somewhat helpful. As far as Cleveland, they're pretty healthy. Of course, Allen's still out. Rondo and Wade out. Not a big deal, but just acknowledge that. Well, I mean, TJ, do we want to even play the if-then game? We do have an if-then, I think, if Embiid is out. But I mean, are we really considering? I mean, DeAndre Jordan, how many minutes can he play? Could Niang play some 5? There's Millsap. There's not a lot behind him. It's kind of that nothing. It's exciting.
It's a big slate, so we don't have to harp on it for too long, but we can do a quick if then and hopefully get the news before we're done. And if Embiid's in and that news is announced late, he's probably going to be low owned, and he's very interesting because his price isn't that high, and so his ceiling's there. They still don't have Jared Allen on the other side to kind of go up against him. If he's out, though, that's really when things do start really getting interesting, because James Harden, in limited sample size without him on the court this year, and on that team, he's got a 35% usage rate, 1.52 fantasy points per minute. And we're going to really be interested in Tobias Harris in that situation too, because that's when hopefully we get to see a little bit of the old Tobias Harris again. 30% usage rate with Embiid off the court. Obviously, that's a little bit skewed because not all of that time is with James Harden. But Tobias Harris, 5'8" on FanDuel would be one of my favorite plays if Joel Embiid is out. I probably don't want to take lots of shots on DeAndre Jordan. If he picks up a lot of ownership, that's going to be something I'm going to be underweight on. Niang would be the guy I'm more interested in there, just because I think he's got a bigger ceiling if he happens to get hot and plays lots of minutes. Millsap, I don't think I'd be taking shots on unless he's in the starting lineup for some reason. If they're just like, hey man, go play 24 minutes. And if that's the case and he starts, then I'd be very interested in him, because if he gets the minutes, he can produce.
Yeah, they're both center only on DK. Basically, it's still a minimum for what it's worth. But like, yeah, it's hard to get really excited about both of them. Probably be a group effort to some degree. Probably get some Niang playing the 5. Kirk, what do you think? Or is this, I don't know. Kirk, you with me?
Yeah, a good thing that it's not mine this time. So if I didn't have headphones in, then mine would be going off and it would be back and forth. It'd be fun. Yeah, what was your question?
So I guess Harden would probably elevate to the most popular stud if Embiid is out. And I hate like focusing too much on the if stuff. It could just be thrown away. But I think there's a legit chance Embiid doesn't play. Like obviously like young shares would go to Harden. Like Trae Young would like probably lose a pinch of ownership because now Harden's going to elevate. He's going to take it from different places. And how reactionary would you be to that? Like how justified Harden would be the biggest, the most popular stud, I think. Is that fair to say if Embiid's out?
Probably. Depends on what time the news would come in. And yeah, I think so. And I think he's warranted. I mean, then we get an absolutely great situation for him. As this game is right now, it's horrible, right? Like it's nothing we like in DFS. This is two slow-paced teams. Pretty much the 76ers play at the 29th fastest pace. They're just slow. Cavs 26th. Two really strong defensive teams. 76ers 9th in defensive rating, Cavs in 4th in defensive rating. They both are top 6 in defending the 3-point line. Like there's just it's you don't see much. Only thing you see is a bunch of steals against the Cavs. That you don't see many stocks on either of them. So it's just a gross game. They pack the paint well. And all that. So I think if we do get the news, then Harden should definitely shoot up for good reason. But I don't think he'll be I don't think we have to worry about stud ownership too much on this, because it's going to be so spread out because we have so many of them that are in good spots. So I think, and people don't like what they've seen out of Harden lately, right? So I'm sure he'll project high, and obviously that will translate over into higher ownership because of the optimizers and whatnot. But I don't think it'll be too out of hand. I do love the Tobias call. He's always, if Embiid is out, he's always picked up the usage in that situation. Harden hasn't been the same, absolute alpha that he had been for years, and he hasn't been very good this season either as well. So I think he may step back a little, and that should benefit Tobias. So Tobias for sure. DeAndre Jordan, did you guys see him play defense? Did you see the clip going
Jokic
around
play?
with like,
I saw the
yeah,
Jokic
so
play.
the Jokic throw top of the key where Jokic is always stands top of the 3-point line. He's out there defending. He makes this nice pass, right? And he just watches the pass and just lets Jokic run right by him to an open layup, like the play was over. It was just unbelievable. So yeah, I don't really have interest in him. I mean, he's 39 or 3,300 on DK. If he's out, I mean, he'll probably they have to use him, right? Because they're going to need bigs against Mobley. Yeah, I can't see that much of a ceiling on him.
And we're looking for value as the other part of it. And like, again, we have an if then, if you have premium, but if Embiid is out, we're projecting Harden for 58 DK points. Like you said, I agree. There's really no clear stud, like as far as ownership right now, but I think Harden would elevate above, like you said, all the optimals are going to spit him out for justifiable reasons, but also justifiable reasons not to get in on heavily owned Harden. There's a ton of good pivots. 54 points projected on FanDuel. Again, this is assuming Embiid's out. And we're just guessing with Jordan, but we're giving 22 minutes and Millsap 16, Niang at 28, and Jordan and Niang about the low 20s as far as fantasy points. But we're just desperate for value. So like maybe I consider. I just don't want to play him. I guess I want Embiid to play and just want to pretend this game doesn't exist. TJ, I thought about what if Embiid's out. If Embiid's in, I think this game's just kind of a cross-off. I hate saying that. Like, of course you can play Embiid. Like, of course you can play Mobley and, if you wanted, in Garland, if you want to do that. But, realistically, I don't think I'm playing anybody in this game.
Yeah, if Embiid's in, it's just going to be sprinkling in pieces. Two notes that I did want to give, though. Something I almost missed is Tyrese Maxey's had a huge price decrease on FanDuel. He's 5,800 on FanDuel. So I think if Joel Embiid is out, he becomes a very, very interesting play. If Joel Embiid's in, like we currently are projecting him for less than 1% ownership right now, and he's $1,300 cheaper or $1,200 cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DK. So just on that alone, that's somebody I like getting 5 to 10% of, just because it's a price point thing. And James Harden on Prize Picks, he's projected for seven rebounds as the prop there. I like getting in on that right now because if Embiid is in, it's still reasonable that he could get 7 rebounds. If Embiid is out, that number looks absolutely beautiful. So that's one of my favorite ones tonight.
By the way, just for if you're curious, as far as Maxey, if Embiid's out, he's 5'8" on FanDuel, projected for 33 FanDuel points. That's a pretty good projection. So I agree. He would definitely be in the pool. Pretty interesting. Let's move on from the one potential MVP to the actual MVP. Denver and Washington, 229.5 is the total. Denver is a 7-point favorite tonight. Washington fully healthy. Everybody's good to go. Unless, whatever, Bradley Beal, we know he's been done over there for a while now. Denver is currently questionable as far as Aaron Gordon. Najee is questionable too, for whatever that's worth. JaMychal Green should be available. But really, Kirk Dees, it's just the Jokic show on Denver. Will Barton's like 4.9 on FanDuel, which is interesting, I suppose. But it's the Jokic show, and he's going to smash. He's got to smash. How high of a number does he have to put up for you to regret not playing him?
I mean, 60 plus.
No, 60, you don't need him.
I don't need him, but you might, it depends how the others do, but he certainly has 70, 80 fantasy points in his range of outcomes for sure. So I don't know. I mean, this is a great matchup for him against Washington. We always take bigs there. We always take people who can get it done in the paint against them. He certainly could be the case. Aaron Gordon being out could bump him up a little bit more potentially. Also, I do like Will Barton on pretty much all sites. I think he's playable. He's 5,800 on DK. I think he's $19 on Yahoo. You said I think he's cheapest on FanDuel.
4.9.
Yeah, he certainly gets a boost. And then, this game, it's not the greatest game either from a bunch of fantasy metrics. The only thing is that just how bad the Wizards D have been. So, and it's a pretty small spread, only 6.5 points. And, Denver doesn't absolutely, light it up a bunch of times, and that we have to worry too much about a blowout here. But yeah, I mean, it's just they're not very fast. It's not the pace. There's some pace problems, but it is a good matchup. And Jokic is always a top stud on the slate.
TJ?
Yeah, I feel the same way. And like, it's weird on a 12-game slate, we don't feel like we have a lot of value yet. But if Aaron Gordon's out, Will Barton, it looks like a very, very good value play. Even if he's in, I think Gordon and Barton still look solid on FanDuel. Both of them are below 5K. And I think we can't keep sleeping on Bones Highland. Like, he's last 3 games over 20 fantasy points, one of them over 30. We don't have a lot of value, and he's 4-5 on FanDuel, 4-2 on DK. So I think if you're playing lots and lots of lineups, I think he's somebody that you can sprinkle in, especially if Aaron Gordon's out. He can boost out those minutes a little bit. On the Washington side, like, Kuzma's price keeps going down. Porzingis's price keeps going up. Both of them look okay to sprinkle in tournaments if you want to, but there's really no targets for me on that whole team.
Yeah, the most popular Wizard on DK is Avdia, just because like the optimal's looking for some kind of value to throw in there, and like theoretically he could be a value at 3.5K, but I wouldn't play him at 4.4 on FanDuel. But there's really nothing. It's Porzingis, he's eating away at Kuzma. The prices have to adjust, I suppose, and like you said, they are, but they're not fully adjusted just yet. Denver, not this great matchup, and you got to play somebody on Washington. Kirk Hughes, who are you playing?
And I want to play Porzingis a little bit just because his minutes are creeping up a little bit. But and he's been pretty good. I mean, and you see 35% usage in the last game. And like, even if it does blow out, they're just going to give him his minutes to try to, they're on a minute plan here with him to get him going. So that would probably be the guy, or Kuz, I guess. Kuz, it's tough to play him at that price tag though, especially with Porzingis eating in on DraftKings anyway. And if Aaron Gordon plays, Aaron Gordon will probably guard him. That would probably be a tougher matchup for him, but whatever. Yeah, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. I don't have a ton of Denny Avdia. If he beats me, so be it. I mean, he's decent. He can fill up the stat sheet in a lot of different ways. He got 29 minutes in the last game. There's worse plays for sure, but it's not one that I'm excited about.
Yeah, that was a half-hearted endorsement of Avdia for me. I wasn't trying to make it seem like I was on him. It's just, you're looking for anybody.
Yeah, no, I could tell. I mean, yeah. So I echo your sentiment.
Porzingis, by the way, 21 minutes his first game, then 26, 25, 27. Washington going nowhere, but maybe, like you said, maybe they push them to 28, 29, 30 at some point. I don't know. But TJ, I think we're done, right? We're moving on.
Yeah, let's get to the next one.
Yeah. All right, next game. Okay, Portland and New York. 222 is the total. New York is a 13-point favorite. They've been a 13-point favorite versus anybody this year. 13-point favorite. Noel is still out, of course. Otherwise, they're pretty much Reddish done for the year. Grimes not playing, but Portland. This one is wild. Justice Winslow questionable. He ain't playing. Like, Portland is whatever. We'll see. I couldn't believe when he popped up. But Portland's without everybody. They have one like real life, true NBA rotation player and Josh Hart. Great matchup for basically all the New York guys. Randall and Barrett and Burks, and man, it's never comfortable when you're rostering Knicks, but here we are, TJ. Portland's horrific. Well, they're massive favorites. Coach Tibbs tends to keep it, when they do have leads, they tend to keep their guys out there longer than most. If it happens to be a blowout, they've given up plenty of blowouts too. They're supposed to score 117 points versus Portland tonight. Randall, Barrett, Burks, where are you starting as far as New York side?
So I want to preface by saying I'm not saying anyone's a bad play. Barrett and Burks, two of your top cash game options. Randall's a great play as well. It's just, this is a 12-game slate, and we are seeing really, really concentrated ownership tonight. And so, like, if we're really getting Barrett and Burks above 30% ownership, Randall above 20%, like, I think my plays tonight are going to have a lot less to do with who I like and a lot more to do with what the ownership dictates, because like on a 12-game slate, there's just not that high of a chance that these guys end up optimal. And so I want to get to them. And if I was playing some cash games, I probably would, but I'm probably only going to be about half the field on all three of those guys tonight. The one that I think I might get overweight on just because he's not picking up the same ownership would be Evan Fournier. This is still a really good game environment. He's $4,500 on FanDuel and he's not picking up any ownership. I probably would rather take some shots on him than, or like even Emmanuel Quickly, just in case those other guys fail and maybe this is a blowout and Quickly picks up some extra run. So just because of how concentrated those ownerships are, I'm going to try and get off those guys tonight, but not saying they're objectively bad plays. Just based on ownership, I don't love it.
Yeah, I like that thought process for MMA. And like, again, you're talking about 12 games and the massive numbers. And this isn't a situation where they have 8 bodies and they're all like 4 or 5K. And you absolutely have to have a couple of these guys because math says they're going to score, at least 90 points and you divvy it up. This, they're still kind of pricey. Like Randall's 9.5. Not to say you can't pay that off. Like Barrett's 9.7 on DK. But yeah.
Barrett is 7.2 on FanDuel. Which is leading to like his 37% projected ownership right now. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's warranted based on the fact that his projection is very, very high and that's too low for him. And he should be probably one of the first people you play in cash games, but it's a 12-game slate. If he has 30 points and he's 35% owned, by having half of that, you just have a massive, massive advantage on the field.
Kirk D's jumping here.
Yeah, I take the other angle for DraftKings because the prices they're kind of priced up here, and the ownership is not out of control on any of these guys. Barrett's the highest, which is he's probably going to get somewhere around 20% tonight. He does have a ceiling at least in his defense, but this is like the nut matchup for Julius Randle, and he's had and consistency is not his main thing, but we're talking in the 2 of his last 4 games, he had 69 and 70 fantasy points. Doesn't mean he's going to do it again, but the matchup is certainly there. If Portland can keep this close, then you get that hot, absolutely really extremely high minutes upside from these starters that Tibbs pushes these guys. And it seems like, they're probably going into like trying to, into their playoff mode. Potentially they might get there, Dean. And I know we've talked about this in this past, but and so you may get this game where you get 40 minutes of Julius Randle against the absolute like worst defense of pretty much an entire G League team with just Josh Hart as their star. Now Winslow might play. I know you said you don't think so. I mean, he got upgraded and like, it's like,
yeah,
he's like, he's not like they want to see more of him. You know what I mean? Like everyone does. So I could see him actually playing in this
Everyone
game.
wants to see more Justice Winslow.
Well, no, they do. Portland wants to, no,
with the game environment that this game has too, and the crazy ownership that they're having on FanDuel, I don't mind. Like Josh Hart has been wildly hot lately, and he's projected for super low ownership. I don't mind the idea of, instead of plopping in 150 lineups in lineup HQ tonight, going 145, 146, and then just hand building some full stacks of this game. Because if those guys are going to be super highly owned, Portland isn't. So I'm going to run it back with 2 to 3 of these Portland guys. And if they keep it close, just see what happens.
Yeah. And I like Mitch Rob on DraftKings. His price is low. This is an absolute matchup that he can go nuts in. You don't get that the block upside that you get over on FanDuel, but I think he's much better priced over on DK here. So I just want to throw that out there.
He'll
be low owned. He'll be low owned for sure.
I haven't looked. What is Winslow's
low.
prices? Winslow's 5.5 on FanDuel. Okay. 5.5. Yeah, there's no way I played Winslow. Okay. I thought maybe he's like 3K somehow.
No, I'm saying he might play. I'm not playing him. Yeah, I'm just saying in general.
If he started and didn't have a minutes limit, I'd be taking shots on Winslow.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe I suppose. Maybe I suppose that can happen, but to me, I don't think that happens. But we'll see.
I don't think that happens. But if we did get that announcement, then I'd have interest.
If you play Hart, you like almost basically have to run it back with at least 1 or 2 guys, right, TJ? Because like he's been awesome, and like his rates are awesome when they're not getting shellacked by 30 points and they kick him off the court. But he's shown his ceiling, not too long ago. He scored 25 points in the first half of the game. Scored 75 fantasy points in another game. The price is much better on FanDuel than it is on DK. But I don't know how you bake in a potential blowout, but like that's not why you don't roster him assuming a game's going to blow out. And it's the Knicks, man. We're just going to assume the Knicks are going to blow out a professional basketball team. That they're wearing professional basketball jerseys at least. I think Hart's interesting for tournaments. Like you're kind of throwing out there, like hand building it. Like you talk about a stack. How tight would that stack be? Like it would be Hart, maybe Eubanks, maybe Williams, or maybe just Hart. Or where's your thought process on that?
Yeah, like if I'm gonna play the chalky guys like Randall, Barrett, and as well as Burks, I don't mind going all 3 of those guys with Williams and Hart in the same lineup. I think that's a nice little 3-2 stack. That it's not very expensive. I think and like Josh Hart, if you're getting him at sub 5% ownership, you're different than all of the other teams already that have all of those Knicks guys. So I don't mind that at all.
And 8.6 on DK, just like nobody's playing him. Like because there's a massive sticker shock on him. But again, like he scored 25 points in the bucket last game.
He went for 72 against Washington.
He crushed Washington. Yeah, 44 points. Yeah.
What was that? Was that Saturday?
I believe that was a weekend game.
Because I took Saturday off and I didn't realize it. So
yeah, like he's flashed it. And of course, like he's also been terrible and the team lost by 50 points like recently too, like a couple times. But that's, you're talking tournaments and you're shooting, Ricky Bobby style. I think Josh Hart is a really interesting guy to have in your pool. What else do you have here, Kirk D's, as far as this game?
Nada, let's go. I'm interested to see Chris Dunn keep getting more minutes, but it's too early to jump on that train, I think. Well, I think, but I don't know. But
He played 19 minutes, yeah.
If you're MMEing, I think you can take a shot, and I think I'm gonna.
3-5 on yes, you stole a minimum both sites. All three sites.
Get that steal upside on FanDuel.
Like I'm not talking I'm gonna play 20% Chris Dunn tonight, but on a night that Rudy Gay is looking like he's gonna be 35% owned or something like that, then I'll play 3 to 5% Chris Dunn.
Still nothing, by the way, as far as news. Like no news has dropped. This is so wild. But I imagine we're gonna get hammered at some point, or crunch time's gonna get hammered with it, but the news will drop at some point. All right. Dallas, Brooklyn, 223 is the total in this game. Brooklyn is a 3-point dog at home. Why are they a dog at home? Because, of course, Kyrie, speaking of dropping a bunch of points, 60 yesterday, he called the Cats 60 points the day before. No Kyrie tonight. They're on the back end of a back-to-back as well. As far as the body parts with Dallas, they are what? Well, Bullock is out and Chris is out, THJ, but whatever. And kind of important for Brooklyn is that Cam Thomas is questionable. More important is that Seth Curry is questionable on the back end. He didn't play yesterday. Of course, he was at late scratch over the weekend. I guess you missed that too, Kirk Dees, where he was scratched after lock, like 5 minutes after lock. I guess something happening in the warmups or something like that. People are very upset. Like in theory, Kirk Dees, it's Durant's show. No Harden, obviously. No Kyrie, obviously. He is the man. We've seen him flash his upside too. Of course, the matchup's not great. But we should love the usage here for Durant in this game. And the other side, like it's a fun little run back. If you just want to play Luka and Durant, that's a nice little stack to build around.
Yeah, I mean, so the game environment isn't the best because they're facing the Mavs, who are a very good defensive team. They also play extremely slow. They're the slowest pace in the league. But it's a different situation here with we're getting no Kyrie and we're getting Kevin Durant ramping up. So it would make sense that like he should see monster usage, which he has. He sported 47% usage against the Knicks over the weekend, I believe. So yeah, I mean that if you can make that work, that sounds pretty good, pretty fun. A Luka Durant stack. I mean, I'm kind of lower on this game in general. I want to see then Seth Curry news for sure. I'm trying to look at other plays in this game, and I'm not. There's nothing I like. Goran Dragic is going to be kind of chalky, and I like the idea of him in theory, but haven't really seen much out of him. I don't think he can kill you at this point. But if Seth and Cam Thomas are both out, like maybe more minutes are secure for him, and that he did play 38 minutes against the Knicks. Man, I missed that game too.
Yeah.
What the? I missed. I got to catch up here.
Durant took like 37 shots in that game. By the way, you mentioned his usage. He was just chucking away.
Insanity.
Yeah.
But I'm not excited for this game at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I hate the game environment, but sometimes like players are just matchup proof, and like Durant's kind of matchup proof. Again, not ideal, but if people aren't going to play him and he's currently like 10%, and I understand why he's 10%, and the reasons we keep talking about throughout the show. TJ, what do you think here? I think it's pretty clear, like the guys you're interested in, you guys are not interested in this game. Luka, especially on FanDuel where he's got a nice price over there. Durant, just all the uses in the world, and things of course can change if Curry doesn't go. Then I do agree that Dragic will be elevated for me. Although like my expectations are still kind of tempered on him. He's a little long in the tooth these days. But what do you have, TJ, as far as Dallas and Brooklyn? Is TJ on
same boat for sorry, I was clicking in, it wasn't unmuting. Same boat for me, that if Curry and Thomas are out, I'm gonna have some interest in Dragic, and maybe you want to sprinkle in some Mills again if both of those guys are out and Kyrie is out, but still not super exciting. Durant, sub 5% ownership, all the usage in the world. Dallas is great at defense and slow, but it's still the best scorer maybe ever at very low ownership. So I'm going to be taking all the shots on Kevin Durant. This game has a lot of tournament winning potential just based on sprinkles. I'm not talking game stacks, but based on Kevin Durant, incredibly low owned, has just as high of a ceiling as anyone. Andre Drummond, I don't want to play him. He's not a good play, but he's projected for sub 1% ownership right now. It's still Andre Drummond. This is still a guy who could go 20-20 in 22 minutes or have 3 steals and 3 blocks, something like that. So that's something that with all the concentrated ownership we have tonight, I don't mind sprinkling those shots in. On the Dallas side, same thing. I don't love really any of these guys, and I guess Dwight Powell is picking up some ownership. So I don't love that there. I guess these Dallas guys are getting appropriate ownership. So most of them, I don't think I'm going to get too far over underweight on, except for Luka. He's 10-6 on FanDuel. That's just too cheap. That's too cheap. And so I'm going to play a lot of Durant tonight, and I'm going to be pairing him with Luka a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it's a ready-made pairing over there. And besides that, it's, like you said, the sprinkles here, the sprinkles there. Curry can change things if he doesn't play. Let's move on. Before we do want to mention YouTube. Hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. We appreciate all that. Keeps the proverbial lights on. Join the conversation in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord. Go to the live stream chat channel. Also want to mention for premium members, there are some premium videos out there right now for March Madness. March Madness starts tomorrow, or I guess, does it technically start tonight? I don't know. That's a whole technicality that people might get into. Is there a playing game? I presume there is. Doesn't matter. Whatever it is. We have stuff up on Scores and Odds, not just for NBA, but also for college basketball. But do check out the videos. And Kirk Dees, you even said, I don't know if you want to give the people a tease. You might contribute to this. You have a hot tip? You were getting your shoes shined and somebody whispered in your ear?
Well, see, I was thinking about doing it. And now if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to have to actually do it. But yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to release a play in college basketball that I am absolutely hammering that goes on Friday. So, and it'll be free on up there with Grant, and a lot of other people will be submitting little videos. But yes, and I'm actually hammering this. So you want a tail, you want a fade, I don't really care, but I'm going to tell you what it is.
Can you mimic John Anthony, our guy John Anthony? Can you mimic the way he does the same sort of pitch, the way you're giving the sales pitch for your play?
No, I'm not. See, I'm not into that. That takes some training. I need to get, do some acting training. All I can do is speak from the heart, and this plays a winner, and that should be enough, Dean. And I'm putting my hard-earned dollars on it myself, many of them. So
you're making the trip to the border?
Yes, I am making the trip to the border. I was actually there last night.
How did it work out for you?
It worked out well. I smashed Indiana, the Hoosiers, and I had them linked to a bunch of parlay. I mean, this is the mecca of gambling. This starting tomorrow. I mean, we get the NCAA tournament Thursday, Friday. We got Saturday. We got a really, really good UFC card that starts early because it's in London. So it's at like noon. It goes off here. And then, and the NCAA, I love the NCAA tournament. Then we got NBA still going. So this is a dream right here.
Did you pull the big T move where you go to Walmart, you buy like 6 TVs, and like after the 2 weeks of March Madness, you go return them?
No, because my fiance won't even let me upgrade the television that I have, the TV that I have here.
Oh.
She's like, I know. So she's coming around. I
give her my number. We'll convince. Come on. How many inches is she allowing you to have?
Well, now she's finally coming around to 65 inches, Dean, not 6.5. Not 6.5 is what you were.
I knew that in the middle of that sentence, I knew we were going in the wrong direction. Let's talk about the Suns and the Rockets. 235 is the total in this game. Rockets are 11-point dogs. Suns are traveling. They're on the back end of a back-to-back. They're 8 games up in the Western Conference, and again, as far as I know, they're playing all the regular guys. Give somebody a rest. We'll see. As of now, no rest. Cam Johnson is out. Of course, Chris Paul is out. TJ, I know you're playing on FanDuel, so it's an awesome matchup, obviously, but nobody's playing Devin Booker just because he's like really expensive over there.
I'm going to be playing Devin Booker.
Okay, there you go. Somebody is.
Yeah, somebody named TJ Zwerch. Yeah, I'm a big Devin Booker fan. I played a lot of them last night, and obviously it didn't go super, super well just because of how much Kyrie Irving smashed. And so I didn't get enough of him just because of how much Booker I had, but we snuck a couple teams into the top 100 that looked like they might have had a shot. But yeah, anytime Devin Booker is low owned, still no Chris Paul. I love it. Campaign has been smashing and his price went down, so I'm still going to be playing him. I like most of this team. I like Ayton, I like Booker, I like Payne. Crowder, I'm okay with taking some shots on, but on a slate this big, I don't like it quite as much. Mikal Bridges, his price is just too high. I think there are even crazier things than taking shots on somebody like JaVale McGee, because if this game is going to blow out and all of a sudden he gets 23 minutes, it's ugly, it's gross, but it's not as gross as the ownership we're seeing on some of these cheaper guys that are good plays, but are just getting triple times the ownership that they should because there's such little value. So I'd rather take shots on guys who have crazy point per minute potential, like JaVale McGee. And again, I'm not talking 20%, I'm talking 3 to 5, instead of going heavily overweight on some of these other guys. But I like this Phoenix team a lot tonight.
Hey, if this game, if Phoenix is mopping it up, you mentioned McGee. It's just the only reason why I'm asking, like, wouldn't, or isn't there a chance it's just McGee's too good to mop and like Biyombo's doing it?
The Biz.
I'm not saying to roster Biyombo. I'm just saying like Biyombo might eat away at potential blowout stuff that McGee you think might have.
I mean, he played 21 and a half minutes last night, and that's kind of the thing I'm thinking. Like, he's projected for 17 minutes right now and 21 fantasy points. If we bump that up to 21, all of a sudden he's at 27 fantasy point projection. And if, hold on, as we're switching everything up here on today's slate, at a 27 fantasy point projection, that would have him as the third highest points per dollar play tonight. So he's getting less than 1% projected ownership. If he just gets a few extra minutes, he could be in the optimal lineup at no ownership, or even if not the optimal lineup, still better than all of these other high owned guys.
The other thing is, though, FanDuel center only, you can only roster one center. And even if he quote unquote hits value and gets like 28, like you have to crush everywhere else. You can. And hopefully you have to avoid like an 80 from Jokic. You have to avoid a 70 from you know what I'm saying? Like, but
you don't even have to do anything that crazy though, because if Jokic and Embiid get 60 and JaVale McGee gets 28, and you have Trae Young and Devin Booker and Kevin Durant and these other guys in your lineup,
you got
who do well
Durant and Luka. Yeah, you got Durant and Luka there. You're looking good if that game.
Or so I wouldn't put Booker in that lineup probably. But then the other thing is you're also gonna you could also see so many of these lineups with Rudy Gay with 15. You don't necessarily need optimal. You just need better than the chalk that you're hoping is going to fail.
What do you have here, Curtis?
Well, so I can get behind that JaVale McGee idea. I think we've kind of gone off the rails a little bit, but I don't mind it because you can smash. I mean, Houston is just god awful on the defensive end. We saw freaking Dwight Powell just absolutely smash them in the pick and roll. Like, so any center is capable, and a guy like JaVale McGee who can really rack up the blocks, steals, and the pick and roll dunks right off the bat. So I could see that working out. So I like that idea. I also kind of like the idea of hoping this game stays somewhat close because it's a back-to-back for Phoenix, because Houston has Christian Wood. You know, they're a little bit rested. They're at home. Stranger things have happened than a game being close like this. And then so I would immediately like Booker. I would like DeAndre Ayton. And obviously you'd want to run it back, more of a game stack in this game because you're praying on this one to be competitive. And that's where like a guy like either Kevin Porter or Christian Wood, Jalen Green could come into play. Obviously not the best matchup for them, but I think you can make some interesting little stacks, and it could run your way.
Who would be your favorite Rocket if you had to pick one?
I mean, no one ever plays Christian Wood. So it would be him. Christian Wood.
Embiid a game time decision, by the way. That's not helpful. What do you have, TJ?
Wood's more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DK, so that's not where I'm going to go. But I really don't mind. Like, so this is the second game I'm kind of putting a star on for today's slate that I'm planning on hand building some stacks. And I want to hand build this one two ways. I'm going to build a lineup with a few lineups with two of Booker, Payne, and Ayton, mixing in with one of these Houston guys. But the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple hand-built, near optimal plays with McGee and Şengün. Because those are two players that will correlate very well together if this blows out. And they're also two of the guys that are some of the wildest points per minute players compared to how many minutes they play. So I'm going to be making some McGee Şengün stacks as well, just in case this one blows out.
Şengün 5-3 on FanDuel, 6-5 on DK. That's tough. But yeah, 5-3 on FanDuel. I hear you. And would get some extra run if this game gets goofy. And yeah, and Şengün is not center only on FanDuel. He's power forward. So you actually can stack them together. Let's move on.
In general, Şengün is going to be somebody I'm heavily over the field on, and I'm going to be playing quite a bit of him.
If Eric Gordon's out, it's Gary Bird time. Gary Bird.
Gordon is questionable. Schroeder expected to play with his illness, what it's worth. The next game, it's basically all about LeBron. He's currently questionable with his knee, and for the most part, he's played with that knee. We'll see. They're 9-point dogs tonight in Minnesota. 242 is the total. Minnesota should just get whatever they want. Offensively, of course, they're without some bodies as well. Well, officially, I guess Beverly is questionable with his ear. Vanderbilt's questionable with his quad. McLaughlin, Naz Reid. McDaniels, we know, is out. Oof. Curtis, anybody in the Lakers interesting if LeBron plays besides LeBron? And like we can go beyond that, but like I think it's just LeBron if he goes, you know, whatever. I hate saying just, but you know what I mean, for sake of the conversation, 12 gamer, yada yada. If he doesn't, then like Monk or THT could be interesting. But what do you have? And then feel free to jump over to Minnesota.
I mean, it's a good game environment. Lakers top 5 in pace. The Wolves number 1 in pace, right? Like, so we should like this. The Lakers defense is kind of atrocious. Wolves have played much better defense this season, but there's a lot of, they both don't defend the 3-point line. Lakers 28th in opponent steals, the Wolves 19th in opponent blocks. This game could have some fantasy goodness. It's also really fun just watching how bad the Lakers are. Like for a Boston guy like myself, like to watch them play Toronto and just start out and it's 19-2 the Raptors to start the game. I mean, it's just fun watching LeBron, and then he's, you know, going nuts at the refs. But I mean, it's LeBron, obviously, but fringe plays, I don't know. There's no one I really want. Like, no on Westbrook at that price if LeBron plays. He's still probably going to bust anyway, even if LeBron doesn't play. But Malik Monk's been a guy I've been using, but there's really nobody. You know, maybe no, I'm not playing Dwight Howard. I don't like anyone.
No, no, stop it, Dwight Howard. Like, he might not even start. Well, who knows? If he does, he should get pummeled by Cat. Yeah, TJ, jump in here. Your thoughts as far as feel free to jump on both sides of this game. But like LeBron, I think is a really, you know, perfectly fine play in this game if he goes, and otherwise it's really murky on the Lakers side. What do you have?
If Braun plays, it's going to be, I think I'm borderline wanting to hit the X button on him just because, not because he's not a good play. He is a good play, but we are seeing 4 times the ownership on LeBron James that we are on a guy like Kevin Durant or Devin Booker. And I would just way rather go to those guys at sub 5% than LeBron at 20% tonight, because he's 11K on FanDuel. That's not that cheap. Like, we got Devin Booker over $1,000 cheaper, Trae Young over $1,000 cheaper. And if I'm going to pay up in that 11K range, I would rather do it with Giannis or Luka or Durant. And so I don't think I'm going to be getting to, maybe not Xing, but I don't think I'm going to be getting near that much LeBron tonight. This is one of the most interesting games on the slate, though, because all of a sudden, if LeBron's out, Westbrook's very interesting. Monk is very interesting. You go to the other side of this game, and it seems very small, but if Naz Reid and Jared Vanderbilt are out, that locks in Karl Anthony Towns playing a buttload of minutes again, and him only getting pulled if he's in severe foul trouble or if it's a wild blowout. And yeah, they're probably going to beat the Lakers handily, but as long as it's not 25 points in the fourth quarter, if it's 14 in the fourth quarter and they pull away, that's fine. So if those guys are out, solidifies Towns's minutes. It would make, is McDaniels out for this game?
Yes.
So McDaniels is already out.
He's already out. Yeah, I thought he wasn't going to be. I thought he was questionable, but I did watch him roll his ankle. So yeah.
So like if Vanderbilt and Reed are out, they're going to be severely underbodied in the front court against a horrific defense that plays fast. So even a guy like Taurean Prince is going to be interesting. If maybe those guys are in though, there's also questionable guys in the backcourt. We have Beverly questionable. You have McLaughlin questionable. You're telling me with all this crazy ownership to certain guys you have tonight, you wouldn't love a $4,000 Jalen Noel at almost no ownership if those guys are all out? It'd be amazing with the lack of value we have on today's slate. Or even if just Beverly's out and McLaughlin's in, you could take shots on him. There's so much to this team that they're definitely going to be a team I want to be overweight on. I just don't know in which way yet. And I haven't even talked about Edwards and Russell, who are both 7K and 7-1. If all these guys are out, that is just way, way, way too cheap. So the only LeBron I'm going to have tonight is going to be when I have 2 to 3 guys on this Minnesota team on the other side.
I would just say that the longer that Q tag is on LeBron, the lower the ownership probably gets as the night progresses, I think. Just because some people don't want to wait for it, but he's still like, he's going to get, like you said, he should get a fair bit of ownership. Beverly's going to play. He's going to play against Westbrook, right? The Westbrook-Beverly game, that's going to happen.
You'd think so.
I assume he's going to find his way on the court. And
I would like Beverly a whole lot if he plays, and especially if McLaughlin's out and his minutes are a bit more solidified.
We don't know about McLaughlin, so it's a lot of moving parts. What do you have here, Kirk Dees? What do you want to add in the interest of time? We do got to speed up a little bit, but feel free to add your thoughts as far as the game as a whole.
Well, with the thinned out, there's a lot of, it could go either way in the front court or the back court for Minnesota. The guy I'm kind of interested in is Malik Beasley, especially on DraftKings at 4,600. I mean, when Anthony Edwards has been out and a lot of situations, I mean, I want to score, I want a chucker, so he fits the bill. He's someone out there that'll be gunning. I can get behind Taurean Prince for sure. And also it's nice to know that he's guarded LeBron a bunch and it kind of makes sense for him to have to potentially guard him. So I think he would, have secure minutes in that situation. So those would be the value guys that I'd want. But like Cat, I'm glad I had him the other night. That was nice. Fun night to have him. I mean, it's against the Lakers, against LeBron. I think, and like, think about it, like they might, so if they use Dwight Howard in this game, he'll crush Dwight Howard because he'll shoot the three. He'll get it. He'll just absolutely crush just an old school center like that. And if he doesn't, who do they start on him? Stanley Johnson?
LeBron's was starting at the 5.
I think either way, I mean, Cat's rolling right now. I hate it. I hate like for the whole chasing thing, but like the usage has been up significantly. There's always been Coach Pete talk about him, stepping up and taking over since the All-Star break and whatnot. So there's just a lot of things that are in his favor. And like, I can't see him doing poorly in either of those matchups, however way they play it.
Minnesota is also a team that is motivated. They're in the 7 spot. They'd love to move in front of Denver, get out of that play-in nonsense, the 7 through 10. There's no pumping the brakes here again against the Lakers. I love Cat again, and it's not a chase. It's just a really good play once again. And I think they've realized that he should probably be shooting more. We've talked about this earlier in the year where like he wasn't even the top usage guy on the team. I think I can't remember, it was Edwards or Russell. They're all kind of sort of right there, but I think Cat should separate himself at least a little bit. All right, we got to move on. OKC, San Antonio, 230.5 is a total. San Antonio is a 14-point favorite. That is a big boy number. Of course, San Antonio, a couple guys out for them, none terribly important, but thinning out the rotation a little bit. No KBD, no McDermott. OKC, just 10 bodies right now. The usual suspects are out as always with Giddey and Muscala, and Wiggins is available tonight, but Giddey's the important one. Of course, no Lou Dort, he's done for the season. But SGA, he's got the ankle, so he is questionable. If he goes, he's been the entire offense. You have a very clear, 2 stud run backs at each other again for a fun little game stack of Murray on the other side and SGA. But I think the more interesting conversation here, Kirk Dees, is of what if SGA sits, and I think there's a decent chance he does because, like, why would he play if he's hurting even a little bit? OKC going nowhere. It's a road game.
Dean, we are not going to trust your why would he play as Justice Winslow gets ruled in.
I nailed it.
Oh, no!
He tried to make me feel like he wasn't playing when I knew he was going to play.
Small
Seth
sample
Curry
size.
out, Justice Winslow in.
Oh boy, Goran Dragic season? Oh no. Are we playing Goran Dragic tonight? We might be. Or you said Patty Mills earlier. Good Lord.
Sounds like
If
another
if
win for the
Dragic's
Bush.
Ownership, yeah.
Oh my.
If Dragic is going to end up crazy owned, I'm going to be underweight on him. But if his ownership doesn't go up a ton, then I don't mind getting Joe.
Let's have the conversation if SGA is out. If he's in, like you can play SGA, of course, but who wants to handle that, Kirk Dees? What's popping for you? They will be down to 9 bodies. I think we have an if then as well. I think the biggest benefactor would be, let's see, well, like Maladon probably, or Man. I think Maladon, but you tell me.
So Maladon will start, and that obviously it will be he'll probably be the point guard, and that'll be a huge boost for him because he doesn't start, and it'll go up a ton. I don't know if I think Trae Mann will pick up more of the scoring. He'll be the one chucking out there and hoping that he can be efficient. I think Darius Bazley will continue to do what he's doing and be a huge piece of the offense too. And then Aaron Wiggins will get a ton of minutes too. We're already seeing a guy like Sarr being valued today. I'm all set there, but like a guy I could get behind is Pokashevsky. I want scorers in this situation if SGA is going to be out, because that's where all the scoring's coming from. So if Pokashevsky fits that bill, Trae Mann fits that bill, and Bazley fits that bill for me. Those are the guys. And Wiggins, I think, there's a lot of different ways that Wiggins can get there. I think he's a pretty good player, young guy, but that's where I'd be going. But if Shea does play, the Shea DeJounte stack is another fun one, just like the Luka KD.
By the way, I kicked off Shea, Dort, and Giddey. You can't kick everybody off on court IQ. You come up with nothing, but just those 3, right? And the biggest usage winner is Trae Mann at 28.1%, an increase of 6% on the season. Jerome at 23%. You mentioned Wiggins, 15% would be his usage, and that's up 1%. So he's a 14% usage guy in the season. What do you have here? Your thoughts as far as OKC, TJ?
This is my least favorite game on the slate, not from a I don't think it's good perspective, from a I don't know what to do perspective. Like San Antonio, like it's a huge spread, but at the same time, San Antonio plays fast and isn't very good at defense. San Antonio has a very high total, but at the same time, OKC plays strong defensively. Like they're such a weird team that they play pretty good defense, but they also aren't very good. And so if Gilgeous-Alexander's out, I have some interest in Wiggins, Maladon, and Mann. I'd probably set a rule that to make sure I only get 2 of them, max 2 in a lineup. I agree, you could take some shots on Poku if he's out. If he's in, that's not somebody I'd have on my player pool. Bazley's tough because I almost like him more if Gilgeous-Alexander is in, just because I feel like he'd be one of the first guys that would lose time in a mega blowout. And that would be the most likely scenario if SGA is out. Other than that, though, on the San Antonio side, I will like DeJounte Murray if SGA plays. If SGA is out, I'm probably going to be ignoring most of these guys.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at as well. But worth noting, OKC defense was pretty good, like better than people assumed earlier in the year. But since the absence of Dort and everybody else, they've fallen apart. Last 12 games, they're the worst team, the defensive rating wise, and it's just hard to anticipate it getting any better. The individual pieces on San Antonio beyond Kirkies, as far as San Antonio, outside of Murray, you got the big body in Keldon Johnson. Pirtle is good, but he's just kind of expensive, but I think he's fine. Walker's a guy that can come off the bench and like pepper the bucket with like 20 points, but there's some volatility there. Who's your favorite guy beyond Murray on San Antonio?
Well, first off, you're right with that, with how poor the defense has been. Even just if you stretched out to the last 15 games, they're 27th in defensive rating. But some of the other metrics here, OKC 29th in opponent blocks, 27th in opponent steals per game. So there's a lot of goodness to be had if I would like DeJounte if Shea was playing, but if this game is more like of a blowout material, I think it makes some of these fringe Spurs guys really interesting who are already in play, like a guy like Devin Vassell, who's a scorer, who's played 31 minutes, 37 minutes the night before that, 35 fantasy points in the last two. Lonnie Walker is another guy score like those guys immediately, and I don't know how much ownership they're going to get. I don't think that they're the sexy plays. Everyone's going to be loading up on the other side of the value and whatnot. So that would be a suggestion, is to play some of those guys. But Keldon Johnson, this seems like a game where he could absolutely, go off. He's going through a good stretch right now. He looks a lot better on the court. He's playing big minutes, 37 minutes in each of his last two games. So he would be my second favorite.
We got to move on. We got to power through, boys. We got 4 more games left. Chicago and Utah, 224 is the total in that game. Utah is a 7-point favorite. We've referenced it a couple times as far as Rudy Gay. We're projecting him to draw the start in the absence of Bogdanovich. House also unavailable too. For Chicago, everybody should be good to go with the exception of Lonzo Ball and Patrick Williams. We're assuming Zach LaVine. He's probable as of right now. TJ is efficient as possible. You've kind of expressed a couple times about Gay being somebody you probably want to be underweight on in tournaments, seeing a monster number, because as of right now, things can change. He is the best value on the slate, assuming he draws the start. 0.9 fantasy points on the season. We're projecting around 26, 28 minutes or so. Chicago, Utah, what do you have?
Yeah, so the nice thing about Gay is with this game not starting until later, it gives you lots of options for if he doesn't start, especially if you plug him into the power forward slot and it's Pascal starting for him. Well, then you can make that switch. Or if there's some other crazy news later on, you have the flexibility to do that. So cash games, Rudy Gay, very strong play. It gives you that swap ability if you need it. And if he starts, he is objectively one of the best value plays on the slate. If he's actually going to be 40 to 45% owned, I'm going to just cross my fingers and have 0. And I'm just going to hope for the best. And that's going to be my way to get ahead of the field. I might take a shot at somebody like Royce O'Neal, 4,600 on FanDuel, just because he's only 10% owned. But overall, I don't love this game a ton. Like on the Chicago side, the only guy I really want to get to would be Vucevic or LaVine. Probably not both, just one, as they're both in the mid 7Ks. Gobert's price tag 7.3 is really cheap. Donovan Mitchell 8.3 I think is fine, but Mitchell's picking up the ownership, and there's other guys that have none that I like a little bit more. So these guys are fine, but I don't like it as much as the public does tonight.
Yeah, the Gobert price is pretty good. He's a guy I typically don't get to. It's typically a little more expensive than he is than I want him to be, but I think he's fine tonight. You mentioned O'Neal. He's another one of those guys that you don't really want to get too much of because he's not a big usage guy. You're begging for those threes, and steals and blocks. Basically, he can eke his way there, but probably not going to hurt you. What do you have here, Kirk? Obviously Mitchell's a great play too, but kind of costly. The Chicago side, nobody's getting ownership on Chicago, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, so it's tough on DraftKings, but you're getting when you get all these 3 guys together, and we've got pricing because they haven't been playing together. So you got the DeRozan is just, he's been so good. It's hard to say that he's not playable at that price tag, because he certainly is. He's fine. It just doesn't stand out. And, you can just get up to some of these monster upside studs so much easier. But, Zach LaVine, hasn't really done much. But, he's the cheapest of the bunch. So I guess if you're looking to play one of them, then that would be the guy. On the other side, I like Rudy. Rudy's been, there's 2 Rudys. I like Gobert the most, at that price tag. I just think there's, now we're getting into playoff mode here. I think we're just going to start seeing better and better games out of this team, and Gobert is a monster, and he has monster upside on occasions. Whoops, there goes my dog Phil again. But Rudy Gay, it's tough chalk. I hear you. Cash for sure, but there's definitely going to be looking for ways to beat him. He's probably going to get like 40 or 50% ownership on DraftKings. He's so cheap. If he does start, it'll be hard for him to fail. But I'm not convinced that he'll even start. It might be Eric Pascal. We'll see how that goes. But I'm not sure what his minutes upside is. So definitely we'll be looking to attack it. It's just really tough at that price tag when we don't have a bunch of lower priced guys, but maybe you just lend yourself to more mid-tier builds to try to beat it that way. But it's interesting. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle it at this point.
They don't like to, but you think there's a chance Clarkson starts?
I doubt it, but I like Clarkson.
Yeah, I like him on FanDuel, especially at 5K.
Yeah, 5,700 is certainly playable for upside. I mean, the guy's going to be chucking in the second unit. It's what he does. It's he'll probably get a lot of Caruso if I think about it, but not sure. I'm not sure. Well, so it depends how much. I'm not sure how if
He might be on Mitchell.
Yeah, exactly how much overlap they have in that situation.
But they both come with the second unit, so like depending on how the substitution patterns work and all that. But all right, we got 3 more games to knock out before we step aside and make way for crunch time for premium members on Rotogrinders.com. Milwaukee, Sacramento, 241.5 total. That's a big boy number as well. Milwaukee is a 9-point favorite here in Sacramento. Nobody's really hurt for Milwaukee outside of Pat Connaughton. Sacramento is expected to get Justin Holiday back. Jeremy Lamb is still out. Holiday might suppress the revenge game for Dante DiVincenzo. Of course, we have the brothers game as well. Holiday versus Holiday. So Justin's good to go. Drew on the other side. But, you know, the headline here, TJ, is Giannis Antetokounmpo. How do you plan on using him? And what's your thoughts on this game as a whole?
Thoughts on this game as a whole. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a fantastic play. Play him in cash. He is my highest projected player on the slate. Based on his ownership, I'm probably looking to get a little bit underweight on him in tournaments. But if you're going single entry, if you're going cash games, Giannis is a very, very strong play. Outside of that, Holiday's priced up a bit too much for me. Middleton's always a guy that if I land on him, I'm good with it just because his price never seems to be high enough. And he has a really strong projection tonight, so I don't mind him. Bobby Portis with Lopez back, I don't really have any interest in. And maybe some people might want to take a shot on Grayson Allen. That's not my favorite, but again, that's just another one that's a guy who's going to play mid to upper 20s minutes. That's not getting any ownership when there's a lot of other guys in similar situations that are. So I don't like him. I'm probably not going to get to him, but that's another one of those options. On the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox has been playing really, really well lately, and his price just keeps going up, but it's a price tag that he's earned. So that's one that if you're playing Giannis, maybe you want to try running it back with him. I wouldn't say no to that. Sabonis is cheaper, and because of that, he's getting some ownership to go along with it. I don't love that. Milwaukee's a very strong defense inside there. So 25% owned on a such a big game slate. There's somebody we haven't talked about yet that's receiving way less ownership at a similar price tag that I like more. So I'm not going to be getting a Sabonis tonight. Harrison Barnes, his price is going down. It's fine. DiVincenzo, it's okay for value. You can take a shot on Davion Mitchell, but with Holiday back, I wouldn't. That's it from that team for me.
Curtis, do you have anything to add to that specifically, or you just want to talk about your Celtics?
I'll say really quickly, I love this game. I love the pace. I love the pace aspect. You know, the Bucks play so fast. The Kings have been absolutely playing fast. They're up to 8th on the season for pace. You know, they've really come a long way. De'Aaron Fox is like a completely different player. He's the player we always knew he was. He just just wasn't aggressive for most of the beginning of the season, but that's all changed since the trade. And now they're not, they're just kind of leaving him off of their, you know, he would normally guard the other point guard, but now he's just guards the worst defender. So it's not like a stress on D, and he's just been absolutely aggressive on offense. So it's tough to pay that price, but like, I do want to game stack this game. I do want Giannis. I think this is an absolute smash spot for Giannis as it gets. And
Winslow starting team.
No. Give me the big old L. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'll play him. I'll play him too.
Whenever he's in 4K on FanDuel or DK.
When you mush hard.
I will take the L.
It's uncanny with Dean. Dante DiVincenzo, if he gets the start again, you know, it's questionable on whether he will or not, but you get that nice little revenge narrative. And this is real revenge. He kind of thought that his future was over there, and they got rid of him. So I can get behind that for 4,500. But like, so it's basically Fox, DiVincenzo for me. I don't know what they're going to do with Trae Lyles. I'm not really interested either way. I think it's a bad game for him. And Giannis, and if you don't want to play Giannis, you play Middleton. It's always, I mean, you can make a really nice stack on like a game stack and then still get different studs if you go Middleton.
Curtis, back half of the ESPN doubleheader, Boston, your Celtics and Golden State. Probably one of those like better games to watch than to play for DFS. 219 is the total. Two good defensive teams. Boston fully healthy. Golden State, the only questionables they have is Bielitsa and Wiggins. Peyton, Iguodala still out. Wiseman, I think, was called up for what it's worth. I don't know if he's going to get any run, but I believe they're calling him up, if not today or very soon. Yeah. I will say Jaylen Brown's really cheap on FanDuel.
Too cheap.
Way too cheap.
Way too good. And what's he looking at for ownership over there?
17%, not high enough for that price tag.
Yeah. So this is a big game for the Celtics. They always play the Warriors really tough. They match up really well with them. This also, you're not getting full Draymond, you're getting just a small portion of him, his 20 minutes or whatever now. And they don't have Gary Payton, who's really makes them a much better defensive team. So absolutely give me Jaylen Brown in this game. Tatum, it's obviously he's going to be really extremely low on tonight, so you could always have some shares of him, but Jaylen just too cheap. I'm not sure what to do on the other side with the Warriors. Like, I don't really like this game from an overall standpoint. I just like that one play of Jaylen Brown tonight, and I like him on all sides. Like, he's cheap on Yahoo and a little expensive on DK, but I still think he could end up doing well for you.
TJ, what can you add to that? Or do you want to talk about your Raptors?
This is going to be a great game to watch. And I will say I love the Celtics too, even though it doesn't make sense with both teams being in the same division. But I love the color green when I was a kid. Great autographed Rondo jersey right here behind me. This is going to be a much better game to watch than it is a DFS game. I'm going to go full fade on the Warriors tonight. Having said that, Jaylen Brown on FanDuel, amazing play. That is way, way, way too cheap. I don't think I'm going to get to Tatum tonight at all, even though typically with that low of ownership, I'd want to. He fits the things I've been saying throughout the show. It's just with Jaylen Brown being this cheap, all of my Celtics exposure is going to be him, as well as Robert Williams. He's got that power forward eligibility on FanDuel, 7,100 mega block upside. I absolutely love getting to Robert Williams when he's low owned, and we're projecting him less than 5% ownership tonight. So other than that, nothing. It's going to be a great game to watch, but I love Robert Williams and Jaylen Brown. Let's talk about the Raptors and my superhero play of the day.
Well, who is going to save the day? Who's going to play for the Raptors? They're facing, of course, the Clippers tonight. 214.5 is the total in that game. They're currently 1 point dogs. Clippers basically fully healthy, right? Whoever you expect to play is going to be able to play. The tricky part with Toronto, Anunoby's got that finger, so he's doubtful. Gary Trent is not feeling particularly well. He had the fish, he's questionable, and FVV's got that knee, so he's questionable. So who's left standing? Is it like Scotty Barnes? Is it Precious Achiuwa? Is it Pascal Siakam? What Raptor are you going to latch yourself to?
I mean, maybe it was going to be a Clipper, but no, tonight it's going to be the same one actually as Monday. He's been playing way better lately. It's Pascal Siakam. And so the Raptors are the team that got me all the prize picks money last time they were playing an LA team. And even though the Clippers are a much better defensive team than the Lakers, the reason I love Siakam tonight is with Van Vliet and Trent in, we're currently projecting him for still over 40 fantasy points. He less than 1% owned. He's still below 9K on FanDuel at that power forward position. I love him because if you play him and Van Vliet and Trent are both in, it's still fine. You could still get a 50 piece out of him and you're okay. If both of those guys are out, all of a sudden that price tag is way too low for him. And you have the opportunity for him to start really, really pushing a ceiling and not playing the 37 minutes we haven't projected for, but playing 42 minutes, something like that. Like we know Nick Nurse runs these guys out for. So Siakam is my superhero play of the day from the late slate, presented to you by the Agents of Fandom podcast. Other than that, I'm going to stick away from Trent on this one with that questionable tag, just because there's not a lot of swappability options. And I want to take shots on Van Vliet because that's way too cheap, but it is just really scary because if he's questionable, actually, No, if he's questionable, you have a direct swap to Reggie Jackson if he doesn't play on FanDuel. 75 and 75. So I'm actually going to be getting quite a bit of Fred VanVleet tonight, hoping he plays. And then if he doesn't, great. I'll also have lots of Siakam, and I'll make that direct swap to Reggie Jackson.
You think Boucher is the best benefactor if Trent sits?
No, I would honestly, I would, if Trent sits, I bet you Armani Brooks would start.
Yeah, but wouldn't Boucher still probably play more minutes than Brooks than we see earlier this year, where Brooks started and Boucher was the closer, right?
And so yeah, it'll all depend a lot of, like, if you get VanVleet out too, that'll change a lot of things. Because all of a sudden Barnes will be your point guard and everyone they play will be huge. But if you see just Trent out, I think you'd see VanVleet, Barnes, Siakam playing all the minutes, and Achua playing the next most amount. Obviously he's cheaper on DK, so he's the better play. But then they just do the rotating Young, Boucher, anybody that's playing good, firing them into the minutes. So
Justice Winslow will have a minutes limit. It's not specified how many minutes, but he will have a minutes limit. Yeah, just throwing it out there. Are you guys playing, Kirkies, you playing a Clipper tonight?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm playing Reggie Jackson, at least over on Yahoo for sure. He's just too cheap there. The minutes are just too high. The usage is too high. Like I always say, if you put the blinders on and you look at his rates, you want to play this guy, and then you unveil it and it's Reggie Jackson, and you go, oh, but you still should be playing it. So I'll be playing him over there. Other guys I'm interested in, a little bit interested of Marcus Morris. You know what you get with him. There's a lot of variance there. Precious is a value play on DK and Yahoo tonight. I played Fred VanVleet, and that's what allowed me to get Cat the other night. And he was extremely low on them. I watched the whole game. I want him. It seems like he's just it seems like his shot is just off, and then he's like deferring from there on. So then he'll go and like hand it to Siakam, and then go stand in the corner and let Siakam do his thing. But we know that big games are on the horizon for him soon, so I can get on board with him, especially at low ownership.
We got a couple questions here, chat, before we step aside. Unless you have anything else. You guys
last one I just want to shout out. He's going to keep being sub 1%, and I'm going to keep playing Ivica Zubats because he has just been showing ceiling game after ceiling game lately. Nobody plays him, and I'm going to keep mixing them in.
TJ on FanDuel, single entry, how many studs in one lineup? What do you think the ideal number is? What are you thinking is for your main lineup? How many studs are you going to have there?
I'm thinking 3. Some of the studs are quite a bit cheaper than others, and it's so reasonable to look at guys like Luka Doncic, Trae Young, SGA if he plays, that are either low at 10K or below 10K. So I think it's 3 tonight.
We have a Godfather theme with these questions. Stay tuned. Kirk D's lightning round. Which one player is going to smash tonight? Is it Cat, Durant, or then Kyrie? No, not Kyrie. He's not playing. Well, I guess Cat or Durant. Who's going to smash amongst those two?
I mean, it should be Durant. I mean, Durant. I like them both, and I would rather just say Giannis personally, and add Giannis to that equation and play him.
TJ, favorite game stack to avoid sleeping with the fishes on tonight?
To avoid sleeping with the fishes on.
It's
tonight.
a Godfather theme. I know you're young, but you've seen The Godfather, maybe?
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to give myself extra time here as I look around. I think I'm gonna go. I like small game stacks for all of these. I don't like big game stacks, but I think let's take it all the way back to the beginning of the show and go Atlanta, Charlotte.
Kirk D, is any interest in Lamar Stevens starting, or would you leave him in the car and take the cannoli?
I mean, first of all, he's an extremely low usage player. He's a defender. He's a great defender, and this is like the worst game environment of all game environments. So I'm all set with fading him.
Lightning round. One more before we step aside and get out of here. TJ, who is tonight's Fredo? Who's going to betray us after trusting them for the very first time? We're just
Rudy Gay.
There it is. All right. That was Kirk D's. That was TJ. Check out his Agents of Fandom podcast if you like superheroes and things of that sort. Thank you to Devin for producing. Thank you for all giving us your questions. Unfortunately, could not get to them all. My apologies. We'll do better next time. 12 games. That's how it works. Friday night, same deal. We're going to run it back, 12 games. Enjoy your Thursday night. Just a showdown slate. But if you guys are premium members, stay tuned on Rotogrinders.com. You get yourself Andy Means, you get Kevin Roth, a GPP specialist, and they'll be breaking down the slate. More information's coming for sure. That was TJ. That was Kirk Tees. That was Devin producing. That was basketball. That was Dean. We're out of here. Holler.